Hey guys, it's Simon. Wanted to do a quick uh, outline of what the swing trade setup looks like and go through them by the numbers. Okay, both in real examples and then in a kind of a theoretical outline. So let's get the Epic Pen going. And here we are. Okay, so first of all, to understand the concept, if the market's moving down, okay, then it must swing up. That would be entry number one right here. This is entry one. We then take a Fibonacci tool and we measure the 50-60 retrace from the swing low to the swing high. Now this is important. If the swing high continues to extend up, you continue to pull that 50-60 up. What that means is normally, if this is the very peak, right, that this would be entry one, and then this 50-60 right here would be entry two. However, if the peak pushes up high enough, 1 and 2 can actually be equal. Okay, I want to be clear on that. 1 and 2 can actually be equal. But let's assume now, for the sake of our conversation here, that we come down, swing back up. This is entry number one, right? Rotation back down, halfway back. Entry number two. Okay, I want to be clear. These are the two most high-risk entries of this swing trade. Okay, why are they high risk? First of all, about 40% of the time would be my guess. I don't have the hard stats on that. It's going to come back and break. It's going to break the swing low. Okay, so a lot of times you'll see me taking this trade with binary options or regular options versus taking it out and out, unless we're an extremely strong market or an extremely weak market, right? Entry number two is a little more attractive because usually you can take it with a tight stop. There's a key to taking the trade with a tight stop here, guys. If you take the trade with a tight stop, right, you can come down, and then the natural question is, where's entry number three? So let's say we have a support level back here, right? If the market pushes back into the first touch of that support resistance zone, which is the core of my trading, right? The support resistance zones that I post every night. First time into this level right here, this is an entry number three, and this is the first high odds entry. Okay, and what we want to happen from here is that it hooks up, and we want to close back into and above the neckline from the swing low. It produces a neckline, right, that was broken. We want it to close back in, and that produces entry number four. Okay, so I want to go through it again. Down, 1, 50-60 retrace, 2, virgin touch of a zone, 3, close back in, 4. Very important. We do not have to get a number 3 in order to get number 4. Okay, it can go 1, 2, 4, meaning it breaks down, and if there's no support resistance zone below, then number 3 will never get triggered. If it trades back in, it's still a valid number 4, right? So that's the core, that's the very basics of the swing trade. If we flip it upside down, if the market pushes up, swings around, this is number 1, comes back for a 50-60, that's a 2. If there's a support resistance zone behind that's a virgin and it pushes up to it, that's 3. Then we come back around, push down. This is 4, and your highest odds trade, right? It's just a flip of this picture right here. Okay. Obviously I don't share the actual trade signal in the room, but I will share when it's triggered and step through the entries. If I could focus on only one trade in the room, there's only one trade I could absolutely take, it would always be this entry number 4. It's not always perfect. So the first thing I want to discuss is, where does it fail? In a trend day up scenario like this, it can fail. It can actually come up. How it works on trend day up is we come up, we trap in, and then it just continues to grind against all day long. Of course, in this scenario here, entries, all the entries will fail. 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the most part will fail in that scenario because we keep driving straight up, right? We never get any rotation down. So you want to see if we are getting that counter rotation while we're trading. The way I usually handle that is I I have a hard time telling outside past the first hour. It's rare to get the market to continue to drive straight up outside of the first hour or straight down, right? So after the first hour, in a situation like Monday where I get shorts and it continues to push up, the way that I handle this, right? So this is really important psychologically. The way I handle trend day up and trend day down is if we have a true trend day up or a true trend day down, is if I get stopped 2 times back to back, generally my maximum pain will be 8 ES points intraday. So if I get stopped 2 times back to back, or I lose 8 or more ES points, or right around 8 ES points, I just shut it down and I come back the next day. This week is a great example of how that helped me. On Monday, I was shut out 2 times back to back. I stopped trading. I was down, I think, 6.5 points for the day total. And I came back and had a monster day yesterday, and I had a monster day today. Monday's a distant memory at this point. But why is it a distant memory? First of all, I did 0 psychological damage to myself. And secondly, I did 0 financial damage to myself as far as my trading account goes, right? And I was able to come back in and take my trade with full confidence. Okay, so let's look at the real life application of this trade today and a little bit of variation of how we could have done that. So my goal is to finish this within the first 10 minutes. Today, I believe I have this right. This bar, I'm going to pull this down. This bar triggered the swing long. Okay, notice there's no trap number 4, and I purposely did not take it. We're still within the first, also notice we're still within the first half hour, right? This is the first hour of the day right here. Trend day down, gap down. I'm very hesitant to take a trade in the first hour for obvious reasons, right? So I've already accomplished my first goal. I haven't gotten bone crushed in what was essentially a 20-point rotation down after a 15-point gap down. Okay, so next, get it here. And as you'll see in the room, I'll draw trap points. The original trap point was here. That trap point, as the market comes down and creates new structure, gets dragged down. That trap point is now here at 20.51 3/4. This bar right here creates the 4th entry point. There was no entry number 3. This is a very poorly auctioned area here. An entry point. And if you'll go back and look at the Twitter feed from today, guys, you will see that I also noted that if the, so what was the, let's talk about the risk here real quick. And let me see if I can't get this dragged around a little bit. The risk was, if we expand this out, right, from my entry here at 20.52 1/4, my stop was going to be roughly 20.45.50, right? So that's almost 7 points worth of stop. Pretty uncomfortable. Or if you have a small account, almost unaffordable, right? So what we do is we take the 50-60 retrace and we draw that 50-60, and we came up with an entry at the 50 retrace at 20.50, right? And that simply moved your stop from 7.5 points to 5 points, but it was a really big help in terms of managing risk. Okay, now a couple of things happen whenever I do this. I have people who all of a sudden decide to go, oh, I'm always going to take the 50-60. Normally when we trap in, you don't get the 50-60 on trap 4. It traps and it goes, much like NQ did today, and I'm going to show you that in just a second, okay? Traps back into structure and it lifts. If you wait for that 50-60, a lot of times you won't get it. Also, remember, you have to keep the appropriate stop. I'm not going to go through all the stop scenarios. I do that all the time. But the appropriate stop is essential to making the trade work. Next, in the trade, whether you took it at 20.50 or you took it at 20.52 1/4, my goal is by the end of the first 3 or 4 points, again, everyone's risk and management model is a little different, right? It's not going to match mine. I have probably an infinitely different risk profile than even most of the people in the room, right? My goal is by the 4th point to be scaled out of half the position. And at that point, I have a trading decision to make. I'm either going to move my stop back to break even or net break even. Now, I got to tell you, if we were only down 10 points on the day and I got this trade, I probably would have moved the trade stop to break even, okay, and hope I got lucky. But when I'm 35 points in the hole, I'm going to move it to net break even and cross my fingers because there's so much potential reward on the line. And my goal was to take it to the next until I got a swing short signal. And I finally got a swing short signal at 2072. I believe it was this bar right here. Okay, and if you again, you'll go back to the Twitter stream, you will see that I posted it. This is where I came out of my, I ditched my last trailer. Obviously I got 20 points, very nice. Also recall when we had the most aggressive entry at 2060 that I was buying the 2069 calls, right? When we were sitting at 2060 on that number one entry. That's another way that I play off the risk. But I don't want to get confused here. We obviously took a trade here. I posted it. We were able to get 4 points of scale. It was not ideal. It would have been ideal here. This is the best structure to have it push above and then close back in. The only place that where I actually got that, again, this was another potential short entry area. We couldn't close back in at 2080. I did take the trade at 2072, and I finally took a trade. I want to say, I know what I did. So when we were in here, it sure looks different when it wasn't developing, right? So when the chart looked like this on that last trade, what I was trying to do is use this little lip as, well, I was using that lip as the trap point. We closed above, we closed back in on a 5 minute. This is usually actually a pretty decent trade entry. I took a quarter size trade at the end of the day. It obviously came in and stopped me out 1 point behind here at 2081.50. I entered, I think, at 2078.25. Again, you can look at the Twitter stream. I have it posted in there, and it just failed here. And this is a great example again of why the end of the day is just, it can be a tough place to take a short. Even on a day where you've already had a 30 point extension up, I would have thought we would have come back for a little bit of a breather. But it wasn't. It didn't happen. Again, I think this really highlights. We had this trade set up 2 times for us yesterday as well. It's just a really profitable trade, and I'm going to continue to highlight it in the room. So, anyways, if anyone has any questions, please send me an email or a message, or ask me to cover it in the morning if there's time after I get in. I will continue to probably be running a little bit late in the AM. My daughter's with me for the whole next, this week and all of next week until school starts again. And it just takes me a little bit of extra time and puts a kink in my morning preparations. And I'm generally late as is, and this is just kind of dragging me a little bit further by the time I get breakfast in her and get her packed up and ready to come up here. But that's all right. It's going to last for a week and a half, and that's that. And also, guys, I'll be out of the room tomorrow afternoon. Anyways, taking my daughter to pick up her school schedule and pick up all the stuff that she needs from school. So I hope everyone had a great day. I know I had this is the most monster day I've had since I've opened the room 2 years ago. Really, really nice. I think everyone had a winning day today, and I was really glad we were able to make that come true. So fulfill my vision, at least for helping everyone become profitable. So anyways, guys, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. Have a great night. This went longer than I thought it would. We'll talk to y'all. We'll see you in the morning.